As I've said repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, the minor league tournaments, the NIT, the College Insider, the CBI, that's where you can pad your bankroll. Those are the easiest college basketball tournaments to make your money in. Not the dance. Not the dance where the lines are the sharpest, the ones where the odds makers are solely focused on, because it's natural. They don't give a damn about these minor league tournaments. The tournaments that I say are for the runner-ups. And as I like to also say, you concentrate the most where the odds makers concentrate the least. Past 2 days, I cashed in with 15 dime best bet winners with Texas A&M Corpus Christi on Sunday, and last night with Coastal Carolina. Now tonight, my 15 dime best bet happens to be in the first game in the NIT tournament semifinals at Madison Square Garden. That one between Cal State Bakersfield and Georgia Tech. Quick, what's the nickname of Cal State Bakersfield basketball team? The Roadrunners. Again, this is an educational video. I feel it's my duty to keep you informed. Now, the latter game is going to be the tougher of the two games, and that's one I'm going to discuss here today on the video report, and that is going to be the contest between TCU and Central Florida. You've got two first-year coaches here in this one, two guys that have been around the block, Jamie Dixon for TCU and Johnny Dawkins for Central Florida. Now, Jamie Dixon certainly has experience coaching at Madison Square Garden from all his years at Pittsburgh. In fact, he has won 26 41 games lifetime at the Garden. TCU 22-15, an RPI of 67. UCF out of the AAC. This is like an Alphabet City video report, isn't it? UCF 24-11 with an RPI of 69. So these two are comparable in terms of their RPIs. Now, listen, Dawkins has certainly been on this stage before because he won the NIT tournament title with Stanford twice in 2012 and 2015. This is a TCU team that was struggling down the stretch in Big 12 regular season play, lost 7 straight games, but then suddenly they caught lightning in the bottle in the Big 12 tournament. Won their opening game, pulled off that stunning upset of Kansas, eventually knocked out of the tournament by Iowa State, but they've won 5 of their last 6 overall. And here in the postseason, they opened up with a win against Fresno State. Then their most impressive win, they go to Iowa, and right before the game, during pregame warmups, it was determined that their starting point guard, very talented freshman, he could not play Jalen Fisher, because he had a wrist injury. They didn't know at that time. Here it was actually a broken wrist, so he was scratched right before the game. A guy by the name of Desmond Bain steps in, a freshman, 13 points, 4 assists in the game, and they win the game in overtime at Iowa. Then they come back home, they win once again, they take care of business, and here suddenly they find themselves playing in the semifinals of the NIT. But then again, you look at Central Florida, and how about the road that they have traveled to get here? First, they took care of business at home against Colorado. Then they go to Illinois State, an Illinois State team that was 16-0 at home this season, an Illinois State team that had only lost 2 of its previous 22 games, and they were both against Wichita State. An Illinois State team that, going back to last year in normal Illinois, had won 22 straight games, and they rallied from a big deficit in the final minutes of that game and pulled the outright upset. Well, they have won 9 of their last 10 games. So you have two teams that are definitely on rolls meeting here at the Garden. And to me, I got to be honest with you, it's a very difficult game to pick sides with. You have Central Florida, whose calling card is its defense. UCF allows 61 points per game. That's the 5th best scoring defense in terms of points allowed in the nation. They hold opponents to 36.3% from the field. That is number 1 in the nation. No team better defensively than them. And the reason they do that is they have outstanding rim protection because their center is 7'6". Yeah, TCU's big man is 6'11", and he looks up to the guy who's going to be 7'6", and his name is Taco Fall. 11 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks, averaging this season, coming off a double-double in the last game for Central Florida. He seemed to have worn down a bit in the second half of the season. This is his first double-double in quite a while, but he is definitely the rim protector, and he is the main reason that Central Florida's defense is so damn strong. Central Florida naturally has a huge advantage in terms of rebound margin as well. At 8.7, their rebound margin, almost 5 more boards a game than TCU. TCU allows, on the other hand, almost 9.5 points more per game than Central Florida. But I put a little asterisk next to that because TCU plays in a much more explosive league offensively in the Big 12 than Central Florida does in the AAC. Yes, the AAC has SMU and it has Cincinnati, but it also has East Carolina. You know what I mean? It has Tulane. It has Temple. Not a lot of offensive firepower there among those teams. TCU 5-12 against the spread. Its last 17 against teams with winning records. Meanwhile, Central Florida has covered 7 of its last 8 against teams with winning records. Now, UCF, not exactly a great road team, 7-6 straight up on the road. Yes, it's a neutral court game, but as I always like to tell you, if you ain't sleeping in your own bed, it's a road game as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really delineate between a road game and a neutral site game. But you just snapped Illinois State's 22-game home winning streak a couple of games ago, and then you took care of business against an Illinois team that had been on a nice little postseason roll since firing their head coach, beating them by a 10-point margin at home. So, again, I think that Central Florida, a 9-1 roll, I got to back Central Florida here. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game. I think ultimately their advantage in rebounding is going to outweigh the fact that I think TCU is a better offensive team. Not a game that I would bet on. And listen, just being totally honest with you, Central Florida has been a team that has just simply confounded me all season long. It's just been a team that I've never been able to get my finger on a pulse of this team in terms of producing wins and covers for me. And TCU is not a team that I really took a lot of interest in this year because, listen, the Horned Frogs, you never know what you get on a night-to-night basis. Again, they lose 7 in a row, and then they enter the Big 12 tournament, and in their second game, they shock Kansas. Go figure. And isn't it ironic? Of all the teams in the Big 12 that had success this season, and all the teams from that conference, TCU is the last one standing at this stage of the college basketball season. Who would have thought that, right? So I like Central Florida tonight, but again, I want to bet on it. That'll do it, guys. I wish you well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.